Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Some breaking news here before today's watch party, which of course we will be live for. Jerry Jones claiming at the taping of the Stephen A. Smith show that he has completed a trade and that he's working on 2 more as well. We'll break down what Jerry Jones said, who it could be on top of that. We will have our watch party tonight for the Cowboys and the Cardinals. We will have live trade deadline coverage as well for you guys tomorrow. So if you haven't already, now is the time to be subscribed. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Here's what Jerry Jones said, and also this is on Sirius XM, so some of the Cowboys beat reporters are able to get much better audio listening to than what you may have seen on Twitter, where it was just like you can't hear anything. Jerry said one deal is done. Now, what's noteworthy for this is I've seen some speculation that, you talking about the Micah Parsons trade, and that could be the case, but the other comments he has made make it sound like he was not talking about the Micah Parsons trade. Says the papers will be in tomorrow, which in terms of like the paperwork is going to be sent in tomorrow. He said, quote, immediately we'll have him on the field and we'll address some of the things that have been our shortcomings. That tense doesn't make sense if you're talking about the Kenny Clark trade. So I don't think it's about he did the Micah trade. Technically is true. But that's not how I interpreted the Jerry comments today. He also said 2 other deals are being worked on. What those deals are, I don't know. We'll see if they even happen. It could be like they've called on, like, for example, Trey Hendrickson, who we'll talk about, but they've been getting told, no, it's a 1, and like they're not giving up. They should not give up a 1 for Trey Hendrickson. So we'll see what deal or deals end up going down. But also the Cowboys roster moves do hint at a trade coming as well. As expected, they have activated Cooper Beebe from injured reserve to the 53-man roster. There was no roster spot required to be filled with the move for Beebe, so they are set there. Malik Davis has been added to the active roster as well, which is noteworthy. I would say there is a possibility that the Cowboys look towards making him active over somebody else instead. That wouldn't necessarily be a huge surprise if like Jaden Blue ends up being a scratch following his fumble. That wouldn't stun me necessarily. Jack Sanborn is heading to IR as well. So that is how they made room for Malik Davis. So they did make that particular move for the Cowboys to fill one roster spot and then make some other adjustments as well. They also called up 2 players to the practice squad, Zion Childress from the practice squad, Zion Childress and Princeton Fant. So they've got some roster shuffling that has been done. The move to call Davis up to the active roster, put Sanborn on IR. Maybe you do end up going to get a linebacker as well because you need to make some roster moves happen for all this different stuff. So assuming the Cowboys do trade for somebody, who is it? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Then we'll run through some very high-profile trade candidates and some lesser trade candidates on today's show. I know everyone wants Trey Hendrickson, and I get that. I think the way the Bengals lost, one hand makes it more likely they trade him. On the other hand, you might have a mutiny in that locker room. If you don't already, I don't know if you heard some of the comments made by some of the Bengals offensive players. They were right to be as livid as they were. Diana Rossini reports this morning that league sources say the Bengals are still asking for a first-round pick in any deal for Trey Hendrickson at this time. Teams tending to call for Cincinnati, hope that they lower their price, etc. I would be surprised if they got a first-round pick. Like a second they might be able to get. I do think it is a seller's market where I think there are more teams looking to buy than there are looking to sell. And someone like Trey Hendrickson does have value. I think a first-round pick is ludicrous for a 30-year-old edge rusher with a hip injury, with, who knows until how long he's out, back, whatever. But I would not be surprised if he ends up getting shopped. With just how bad things have gone of late for the Bengals. Like they have to at least consider it. Now, do you want to trade a 2 for Trey Hendrickson, which I think might be the trade value? You can't draft in the second, so maybe. I do think the Jalen Phillips trade is a good indication of like what the likely trade value is. Hendrickson is better than Jalen Phillips. He's also more expensive. He's also older. I think getting a 3rd-round pick back, I believe Miami ate some of the money as part of this deal. The Dolphins are asking for a 3 for Phillips. They got a 3 for Phillips. I think if the Bengals asked for a 2, I bet they'd be able to get a 2 for somebody like, honestly, the Niners might be more inclined to go make that one happen. The Jets reportedly also looking for a second-round pick in exchange for Jermaine Johnson. And I think there is a chance he gets dealt. Seems, depending on who you ask out of New York, you're getting different answers on what the value is and who's more likely to be dealt. Second-round pick is pretty consistent overall for like the Jermaine Johnson trade value. He's got a second year of team control. On top of that, you need an edge rusher. The Bears also need an edge rusher. I'm looking at this right now. Odenigbo tore his Achilles. Again, there's a lot of teams that are going to be in the market for edge help this year. I think the Jets would listen if the right price came on Jermaine Johnson. By the way, quickly on Quinnen Williams, I think you're looking at more of like it's a first and more. And he's awesome. Like, I'm never going to cry about adding an elite player, but I would be a little surprised if the Cowboys were willing to make that caliber of move. So how many trades will the Cowboys make? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. How many trades think Dallas ends up doing? I don't really have a great feel for what the Bradley Chubb trade value is. Like, he's under contract next year. He's been a double-digit sack guy in the past. His pressure rate's actually gone up over the last couple of weeks. Feels like they are heading in the correct direction. Like, he is heading in the correct direction. The Dolphins are a train wreck. Would they be asking for a third again? Like, I don't think a second makes any sense at all for Chubb. Especially like he's under contract next year, but he's $20 million. I don't know if that's the likely outcome for Dallas. Like, could you get him for a 4? In which case that makes a lot of sense, but would Miami take that because he's under contract next year? Similar status for Minkah Fitzpatrick, by the way. Jordan Schultz says Dolphins have been open to trading him. I would have a lot of interest there. The downside is he is a little bit older, and he's expensive next year. He's like $15, $16 million next season. That's a pretty penny to pay when you might not want to keep him at that price point. So again, like you're balancing, okay, do you do the rental? Is he a rental or is he a long-term player? That's an expensive long-term player. This is how like figuring out what the value is gets a little bit dicey. If I make it for a 5th, hell yeah, I'm doing it, or a 4, even though I'd like to have a 4 at some point in the draft. Because he's been good over the course of his NFL career. I wonder what the overall trade value is for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I don't know what it is. Like, I would love to move a day 3 pick for him, but he's probably worth more than a day 3 pick. But the contract's expensive. It gets dicey and awkward to figure out for Minkah and even for Chubb, frankly. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. It is the only app that offers stacks. Pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want more than on, George Pickens' receiving yards and touchdowns and catches, you can do it. All only on PrizePicks. This is the Monday Night Football PrizePicks lineup we got for you guys. Shout out producer Aiden. George Pickens, more than 66.5 receiving yards. Javonte Williams, more than a half touchdown. And Trey McBride, more than 66.5 receiving yards. If you haven't already, go download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. We have to address Max Crosby because Max sent out this tweet. It says, Raider Nation, I love y'all with everything in my heart and soul. Y'all deserve better. Stay as one. It will change. I think that is very clearly I'm sorry we lost on the final play of the game in overtime tweet. Apparently, it's been interpreted as he's saying goodbye. I don't know how that's interpreted. The Eagle, by the way, is not about the Philadelphia Eagles. That he went to Eastern Michigan, the Condor. Like, that's what that is. And then the black heart for the black hole. Like, I don't know why that was interpreted as such. I love Max Crosby. I don't see any way he's traded unless he decides to force his way out, and that's not happening. He has said he doesn't want to leave. I mean, it's what Jake Glazer said again. Everyone saw Jake Glazer's Hendrickson report. Everyone just chose to ignore his comments on Max Crosby. It's funny, right? So I'll hope you. Wouldn't be shocked if Tyree Wilson ends up in Dallas, though. Doesn't this feel like a very Cowboys trade? Former first-round pick, good athletic traits. They liked him coming out of Texas Tech. Has been a disappointment. They can talk themselves into fixing him. That would not be a surprise at all if they went after Tyree Wilson. We'll talk about Malcolm Koonce later on, by the way. I do think you could get Jeffery Simmons if you blew away the Tennessee Titans. I think their asking price for Simmons is a first-round pick and more, or at least a first-round pick. If I could get him for a 2, I do that right now. I'll figure out the Kenny Clark-Osa stuff later, and I will take a top 5 defensive tackle and plug him in and be thrilled with it. Like, he's awesome. I do think Simmons would be fully on board, by the way, playing for the Dallas Cowboys. That would not surprise me in the slightest if he wanted to come to Dallas. And there's been some reporting that Dallas was one of the teams that he was interested in. And if he got dealt, and yeah, that is the case. I've heard that. I heard that 4 years ago, whatever it was, before he got the first contract. But I think he's okay trying to figure things out with the Tennessee Titans. Do you want the Cowboys to make a trade? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's video. Y for yes, N for no. Do you want Dallas to go out and make something happen? I don't think we should sleep on Logan Wilson. And of note, by the way, as I sit here doing this, Clarence Hill says Jerry Jones confirmed to him the trade will happen tomorrow. So he has confirmed that he wasn't talking about the Micah Parsons trade. Logan Wilson stands out to me. If I were him, I'd want the hell out of Cincinnati. It is a train wreck there. They're playing linebackers who stink over him. Now, he's got a calf injury. That one I do wonder, was it a real injury? Like the Trey Hendrickson one is a real injury. The Logan Wilson one, yeah, I'm at least going to question that. Just because I don't know how banged up he really is. I don't think he's the same guy he was in his prime, but that's, I think, an available linebacker, and I do think this team needs a backer. Malcolm Koonce, another Raiders edge, keep an eye out for. Is a David Mulgeta client? This would be a rental. I do question how much the Cowboys are looking at a rental. I would have, if it's a day 3 pick, like, whatever, I'm not going to cry about it. But, like, if you trade a 6th or 5th round pick for Arden Key, I'm just going to be kind of whelmed. Like, for example, like that's Arden Key, I think, is another name to monitor here. But, like, I would be like, it's not bad, but, like, it doesn't change my outlook. It's not like I saw someone claim Kyron was worse ever. No, it wasn't. Stop it. It was a day 3 pick swap. That doesn't really matter. But, like, do you want to aim higher than that? Dre'Mont Jones actually played pretty well last couple games for Tennessee. Curious what his outlook looks like. That's the name to keep an eye out for as it relates to the Cowboys. T'Vondre Sweat's name has been thrown around there. No idea what the trade value is. Not a single idea. Because he's been good on the field. But the tea leaves, and even some of the outright reporting out of Tennessee, not on the field, there are some question marks there. Which is what was it, Texas? Where, like, he didn't work as hard as he needed to. Had the DUI late in his career. So, like, I wonder what the trade cost is. If you're buying low, yeah. If you're giving a premium pick, like, you better be right about it. All right, Anfernee Jennings. The edge, really, from the Patriots. A rental player. Seen his name thrown out there. That is very much like, we'll see. I love Kayvon Thibodeaux. Shout out Marshall Green. I asked him, like, when the first reports, I'm like, what's the ask price? He said a first-round pick. And then Diana Rossini Saturday said first-round pick. Jordyn Brooks, named the monitor. Don't know how expensive he is because he's under contract. He's been very good. I think would help you a lot at linebacker. Certainly a name that I think is a key element to monitor. Been some back and forth on Riq Woolen, Boye Mafe as well. The Browns are, in general, I forgot to mention them, like, maybe they sell some pieces. I also think it was Albert Breer. I think it was Breer who said that they might buy. So don't really know what to make of Cleveland, but, like, Devin Bush, another linebacker name to throw out there. I don't know. Could also see the Cowboys send out somebody in a trade. And I would not be shocked if Jalen Tolbert is a scratch tonight. I also wonder if Luke Schoonmaker's a scratch tonight. I think he's going to play. They did call up Princeton Fant for the practice squad, though. If they're going to have Minkah activated, Tolbert is the one that they're going to scratch. TJ Bass has value, but maybe they want to keep the RFA next year under contract. They've been reports. We mentioned this on Saturdays at Home. They're open to shopping. Mozzie Smith. Hey, can I? This is me doing the meme of here's a player I don't want in a late round pick, and can I flip Mozzie in a 5th for T'Vondre Sweat? I shouldn't be able to unless there's a lot of really bad concerns with T'Vondre, but, like, you're going to do a trade for a DT, you should try to trade away Mozzie Smith. And if you get an edge, I would like to see Sam Williams shot, but that's just me.